Good morning, folks. Deb Delapiana here with another short take. So we want to talk a little bit about, the status of the Trump investigations, because there's a lot of people out there that really just need to wipe the foam off their mouth and take a pill and understand exactly how vast this entire conspiracy has been. It should be apparent to people, if you've been paying attention in the media, the Mark Meadows texts, which we plan on doing a full show on. We can't touch it in a 10-minute TikTok video. The Mark Meadows text, and if you've been following the course of the J6 committee all the way since its inception, up to the appointment of Jack Smith as the DOJ's special counsel on the Trump cases, by the way, 2 cases Jack Smith is involved in. The documents case is 1, and the J6 insurrection is the second case he's involved in the overturning of the election. It's a ginormous conspiracy. There's no other way to describe it. So the J6 committee, let's talk about that first. They are not a prosecutorial arm of this at all. They are an investigative arm. They will suggest legislation that will help prevent future insurrections and future attempts to overturn legitimate elections. They have filed the Electoral Count Act. I don't know where that is. We need to try to pass that thing before the new Congress takes hold in January. And there are other things that will come out of this. But their work and the work of Jack Smith can't be based on when the parties change hands and change power. It's an investigation. It takes time. And the people being investigated use whatever legal means they have to delay things and to avoid things. And they have been doing it all along. So where the J6 committee is right now, and people are surprised by this because the last public hearing, was supposed to be the final one. There is now a hearing scheduled for Monday at 1 p.m. And Benny Thompson has stated that there is more than a potential possibility that new evidence will be revealed. So I think we can pretty much say that new evidence is going to be revealed. The other thing that will happen on Monday is the report will be finished on Monday. It is at the printer. What will also happen the next day, the couple of days later on Wednesday, is all of the attachments will be available. So the J6 committee needs to be commended for doing a spectacular job in light of the fact that, some people just blatantly refused to show. Subpoenas were ignored. They ended up going to court over things. They've done a great job getting all of this done before the dissolution of the committee, because as soon as the GOP takes over the House, they're going to dissolve this committee, whether they're done or not. The second thing is, let's talk about the DOJ investigation. This one is even bigger because we now have the documents case on top of it. So Jack Smith, and the reason he was appointed is because once Donald Trump announced his candidacy for 2024, Merrick Garland knew exactly what he had to do. And Merrick Garland, people say, why didn't they do this months ago? Well, you know what? Merrick Garland's investigation, in large part, has involved waiting for documents from the J6 committee. So let's get a grip here, okay? So let me tell you about Jack Smith and what he's done. He has empaneled a criminal grand jury to sit between now and March of 2023. The statute of limitations on any of this, including J6 and the documents, is not until 2026, okay? Keep in mind that Letitia James' investigation in New York on just Trump's business funding took 3 years. Let's give the DOJ a break here. They have to tie all of these dots together and make it evidence that can convince a freaking jury. First of all, the grand jury has to be convinced to bring charges. This is how the system works. You don't just get up and you're Jack Smith having a cup of coffee and decide to charge Donald Trump. That's not the way this whole thing works, okay? So he has 20 prosecutors working for him. So some election security advocates suggested to him that they needed to look at the voting system breaches involving, quote, a multi-state conspiracy to copy voting software. These states were largely Georgia, Michigan, and Nevada. What Jack Smith has actually done is he has subpoenaed all local and state officials in all 7 key states. That would be Georgia, New Mexico, Nevada, Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. He's not stopping with just those 3 states. Okay? Since Thanksgiving, Jack Smith has brought a number of Trump's closest allies in front of a D.C. grand jury, and that would include 2 former White House lawyers, 3 of Trump's closest aides, and former speechwriter Stephen Miller, the little goddamn right-wing troll, I believe, who played a big part in all of this. This is a huge conspiracy, folks. The Mark Meadows texts alone prove that 34 lawmakers texted him, in addition to Ginny Thomas. All right, some of these lawmakers were just expressing their support for Trump. Others were specifying how they could potentially overturn things in specific states. These are people who are going to be looked at, okay? People called for martial law. They can't spell for shit, and they're pretty stupid when it comes to writing English, but it's there. That cannot be denied. Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of those people who called for martial law, okay? Representative Ralph Norman, he called for martial law. Most recently, Marjorie Taylor Greene stated publicly that had Steve Bannon and she actually been involved in the planning of the insurrection, they, quote, would have won and it would have been armed, end quote. All of this is talk, okay? But somehow, Jack Smith's job is to tie this all together into a story that shows a progression to attempt to overthrow our democracy. No former president has ever been charged, not even Richard Nixon. They convinced him to quit. And Richard Nixon, by the way, looks like a fucking choir boy compared to Donald Trump. Watergate looks like a Mickey Mouse operation compared to this thing. I'm serious. I lived through Watergate. I lived and breathed Watergate. I followed everything. I followed Archibald Cox getting fired. I followed all of this stuff. I can tell you, it was nothing like what we are looking at here today. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't believe that Donald Trump is going to get away scot-free. I actually believe that Donald Trump will be indicted. I am patient. I understand the need to be absolutely positive that everything is nailed down so that no jury can find reasonable doubt. This is all that the defense has to prove is reasonable doubt. So that means when you go into this, you need to have everything in your power and at your fingertips to eliminate that factor. And the other thing that you have to make sure of is that you don't fuck up in any way procedurally, because this could be overturned on appeal. And you know, if he is found guilty by a jury, Donald Trump will appeal. It could be overturned on a technicality. We don't want any of that shit to happen, folks. We need to understand really where this all is. I have linked our YouTube channel. This video will not only be on TikTok, but it will be on YouTube as a short take. In that video, you can have access to all of the backup for what I'm saying today. So once again, I will see you all later. And no, we have not forgotten the fact that Donald Trump had his superhero trading cards announced yesterday. Oh, that's going to be the subject of a separate video. Yeah, it sure is, because there's nothing like a grifter. I'll talk to you later.